If you're a rock climber, this is going to be the episode for you. Welcome back to the YBO podcast. We are joined by both Kendal and Keaton McGuire today, and they are both extremely experienced rock climbers. They're going to jump on here to share some of their crazy stories related to their time in the sport. And we are also very lucky to be joined once again by our good friend, Ms. Hallie Bontrager. She has also put in quite a bit of time on some rock walls and has some pretty epic stories to share as well. This one is a lot of fun, so stay tuned. No pressure, Hallie.
They don't fuck this up for us.
Gotta go. Wait, let me get my rope out. I got it.
All right. Well, for all you rock climbers out here, this is going to be the episode for you guys. Today we have... I can't focus because Hallie is freaking out already.
Hallie Bontrager.
We got Kendal and Keaton on with us today, but we also have a special guest, Miss Hallie Bontrager.
Hello.
And today is just going to be completely about rock climbing. So we'll start off with letting each one of them kind of talk about their experience and history with rock climbing and some of their favorite, I guess, aspects of it and favorite memories and whatnot. So we'll just get right into it, and we'll start with Hallie. So
I think I had never gone rock climbing except for when you go to camp or whatever and there's like a rock climbing wall. I was always like, I gotta get to the top of this. So that was really my only experience ever doing it. And I mean, those walls at camps and stuff are usually pretty easy. Like you can do them in tennis shoes and whatever. It's not that hard. So that was my only experience. And then when I went to college, I went to school in Arkansas, which surprisingly is a pretty big climbing spot. Like it's very underrated, I think. And so my freshman year, during freshman orientation, my orientation leader, Matthias, he was a year older than me, but he was a huge rock climber. And so I told him that I was really interested in it and really liked it because people had talked about it a lot, especially my major was outdoor leadership ministry. So a lot of the people in that major with me were big rock climbers. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this would be so cool to go. And then Matthias was like, let me take you, I'll get a group together and we can go. And so I think that was the first time I went, was very beginning of my freshman year. We went to Lincoln Lake, and I top roped basically the whole time. Lincoln Lake.
Oh, Lincoln Lake.
Which is the closest spot to us. It was closest outdoor spot to us. I think it's 35 to 40 minutes away from my school. From John Brown. And so that was the first time. And then I think I didn't go a ton after that. I didn't go a ton throughout my freshman year. I just didn't have any of the gear and none of my close friends did either. So, but then sophomore year, I took a top rope certification class where this was part of my major. And we just learned how to make natural anchors. So if there isn't bolts or an anchor system, you basically we learned the correct way to identify a usable tree or boulder and just wrap the rope around and make sure it's redundant. You have a good amount of space in between your anchors. So it's it's complicated. But so I took that class and that was the semester. So we were climbing all the time and rappelling and setting stuff up and just learning different systems. So that was really cool. And then a bunch of my friends and I, we started getting more equipment. So we were going outside more sophomore year, but I think when it really kicked into high gear was probably my junior year. Arkansas, Bentonville, which is 45 minutes away from my school, got a climbing gym. This is the first climbing gym we got. And so my junior year, we all got memberships. And so we were going there all the time, especially in the winter when it's too cold. And we were going to Lincoln Lake all the time as well. So it became kind of a routine within my friend group and then senior year, kind of the same thing. We were seniors though, so we didn't have a ton of time to drive all the way to like the climbing gym, so we tried to get outside as much as we could. But then in the summers when I was working in Colorado, I was taking kids rock climbing, which doesn't really give you the chance to climb. You're mostly setting stuff up and belaying kids up and down all day, which is not as fun, but it's fun to like encourage kids to keep going. But then like on weekends and stuff during the summer, we would climb all over Colorado Springs. So Garden of the Gods, Red Rocks Open Space. I climbed in Buena Vista once, and then I've climbed a few times in Wyoming. So that's kind of been my history with it. I'd say it's equally spread out between Colorado and Arkansas for sure.
Do you get into lead climbing at all?
Yes. Junior year, I got into lead climbing because we were all like tired of top roping, and one of my buddies was really, really good at lead climbing and was like teaching all of us how to do it. And so that's when I started to do that. I started outside. I started inside. I started lead climbing. That's how I started to learn.
Can you explain to everybody that's listening, like top roping and then lead climbing?
Yeah, including me, because I am completely dumb on this.
I'll try my best to explain it because it's really hard without.
And we'll chime in if
yeah. So top roping is basically you have an anchor at the very top of a climb. So like once you get to the top, that's where the anchor is, and the rope goes through that anchor and back down. So basically when you're climbing, you're always like, even if you fall, you'll stay right where you are because it's like you're anchored in the top. So if top roping is pretty easy, I'd say. I mean, like obviously climbs can be hard, but it's like there doesn't feel like there's a ton of risk.
Right. That's where everybody starts out learning. Yeah.
Yes, everyone starts out learning top rope. Like when you go to a camp and climb a rock wall, that's top rope.
Yeah.
Lead climbing. I'll try my best. It's so hard to explain without like demonstrating it.
Yeah.
So as you climb, as you go up the rock, there are carabiners that are called quick draws that you have to set up, and you're basically setting your anchor as you go. So
your point of protection.
Yeah. What do you call it?
I call it my point of protection. So once you pass that point of protection, like the point of protection might be below you, but you might be above it. So let's say you're 3 feet above your point of protection. You fall, you're dropping 6 feet.
Yeah, that's a really good name for it. Point of protection. I've never heard that. That's great. Okay. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna run with it.
There you go.
So yeah, as you keep climbing up the wall, you explain it perfectly. You're just like, it's way more risky because like Keaton said, if you fall and you're way above your point of protection, you're swinging and you're swinging hard.
Yeah.
And, like, depending on the climb, if you're climbing in like a crack or if you're climbing with an overhang and your last point of protection was set like under the overhang and then you're in the middle of the overhang. An overhang is basically what it sounds like. It's like when a rock like starts to jut out. So it's like you're not upside down, but it's very hard. You're like almost hanging.
Right.
And like if you fall on that, that's like really, really hard. I haven't taken a super hard hit from lead climbing yet, but I've had some close calls for sure.
Have you done any like fun stuff where you jump from purposely?
Oh, like a dynamic thing, like a dyno, like is that what you
mean? No, not like that. Not like dynoing to a different hold, but like let's say you're above your point of protection, but you wanna take a whipper, what we call them.
Yeah.
And so you purposely want to fall and get that adrenaline rush and catch yourself. I don't know. We used to do that all the time.
I have not. I'm so scared of taking a whipper. I'm so scared. A whipper is basically just falling really hard and swinging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kendall, didn't you send a video to like all of us, or you posted one?
Yeah.
I'll have to post that like when I post this episode as like, all right, here's a fun lead into the rock climbing episode.
No, I explain it perfectly. So yeah.
Yeah. I love that video too, because you don't get very unnerved very often, but I remember in the video you go, Woo-hoo. You like get all nervous before you drop. So,
It's a little nerve-wracking.
yeah.
I'm gonna assume that you guys are way more willing to hurt yourselves than I am when it comes to climbing.
I mean, we don't want to, but
I know. I get so nervous. Like even sometimes top roping, if I'm top roping some like a harder climb, I get nervous, and it's like
I do. That's when I was. So we started out. Should I jump into?
Yeah,
mine?
I mean
Okay.
that's perfect junction point. Let you guys.
Keaton and I are. We started rock climbing at the same time, obviously.
We were kids. I don't really remember what age we started, but our older brother, he got into rock climbing, and he kind of like got us involved in it. But we started out at the Kansas Cliff Club, which is outside of Derby, just north of Derby.
the silo, right?
Big silo, yeah.
Yeah.
So we started there. So there's some indoor climbing there, and you can also climb outside on the silo. But we started there and top roping. Then we went on, some climbing trips with them through Arkansas, Horseshoe Canyon Ranch, which sounds like you've been there.
Yeah.
The Wichita Mountains down in Oklahoma. A place called Reimer's Ranch, which they actually quit letting people go to because it's unsafe. That was down in Texas. Then also Colorado. But what was I about to say? I can't remember what I was about to lead on.
The Kansas Cliff Club, maybe? Like you were talking about that before you talked about going on trips.
Right after Hallie was talking, I kind of jumped in, but I can't remember what. That's okay. But, we started, I don't know, when we were kids, and we always got, she was saying, like, kind of get nervous on talk roping. But when we were kids, like, I'd get super, like, sketched out, scared. Like, when we were doing these, especially multi-pitch stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one in Oklahoma. I'll probably embarrass myself talking about this. But in Oklahoma, we did this called LTD, Leaning Tower Dune.
No way.
Yeah, have you heard of it?
Yeah, no way.
So we were doing that, and it's like super exposed. And I was a kid. I was scared, but I was like crying on the rock. I was so scared. I was like, lower me, get me down. And Shane kept pushing me. Oh, you're right there. I was like 10 people.
Were you in the chimney? And you're
I was saying, I'm stuck. I can't move. But I was just so scared. I could do it, but I was just,
Yeah.
as a kid, it was nerve wracking. But then you kind of get used to getting over it. But it's always a little scary, but it's a good scare. So
yeah. Can you explain what what's it called? Leaning Tower. I forgot what it's called.
LTD, Leaning Tower Dune.
Yeah. Can you explain what that was like the climb was like, especially for people who don't know what that is?
Kendall, you want to go on it?
Sure. So it's in the Wichita Mountains, and in the Wichita Mountains you have a canyon that runs through it, and the Narrows is a climbing area, which is down in this canyon, and so we'd have to hike up quite a bit of ways up from the water, and that's where you start your climb. You're probably 200 foot above water, Keaton?
You're way, like, from the river. Yeah, you're way up there.
You're way up there, and it's this 160, 200 foot sheer rock cliff, and LTD is I guess 160 foot route.
Is it a multi-pitch though? I can't remember.
I think so.
Yeah. But there's certain routes right there, but like some of them are super exposed. Like you're on a what's it called? Where it meets at a point.
Corner?
Dihedral.
I can't remember what it's called. It's been a while.
I know. My terminology has lost.
But like you're in some situations you're like super exposed, and it's nuts. I mean, and it's really tall. You get crazy view. It's just so exposed because you got to hike up this really steep part, and then you start your climb. But like you feel like you're 1,000 feet in the sky, but you're
from where the water is.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah, that's awesome. Being exposed on a climb. So basically, what that is like when you're on a wall, and normally you start there's like, you know, there's like trees and stuff around you, so it doesn't feel like that intimidating. And then like some climbs, when we say like there's a lot of exposure, it's like it's literally like you, the wall, and like the sky. Like there's a ton, like there could be a ton of wind, which is like doesn't seem that bad until you're up there and you're like, this wind could knock me down. Like I'm so screwed if I don't hold on. And it just, like sun, like I think weather is a big part of like exposure for sure, especially wind and like sun. So
well, that makes me curious then. Would you guys ever be like any of you be willing to do what is the one? I think it's that massive like flat rock face in Yosemite, like El Capitan, right? Isn't that like a multi-day climb? Like people have to camp out because it's so tall.
Yeah, it's hard.
So would you guys ever be willing to do something like that?
Hell no.
I would do like one climb on it just to be like, I climbed on El Cap. I didn't climb on El Cap. I did hike Half Dome this summer, which is like, oh my gosh. I know this isn't climbing, so this is kind of off topic, but speaking of exposure, holy crap. So Half Dome, and I feel like this isn't super like popular or known. I didn't know about it till I got there, but you have to get a permit to like get to the top of Half Dome. Because it's called like cables at Half Dome. So basically like it was unhikeable until this guy, I don't know when, but he basically just went and put up this like cable system. So it's like he drilled like hole into the rock and then like stuck these poles in, and then it like, so you have like two cables on each side. But you're like, when you're going up this rock, it's half a mile. And for most of the time you are like, I'm going to try and demonstrate it. You're holding on and your feet are like in front of you. And you're just like, trying to like basically have enough like of your like foot against the rock and then just like hauling yourself up these cables. And for one part you like, I was almost completely horizontal. For the most part you're kind of at an angle, so it doesn't feel that bad, and there's like wooden planks so you can kind of like dig your toe into. But some people there had like harnesses on and were carabining themselves to the poles.
Wait, so you're saying you basically in a way walked up the rock face? Yeah,
kind of, yeah. And so
but not straight vertical.
Not straight vertical. No, it wasn't here. It wasn't straight vertical. It was maybe just like a little tilted.
Like tilted between 90 degrees and 45 degrees.
Yeah. It was enough to not feel like I was gonna fall to my death. Like I wasn't freaked out by it at all. And Cass did it with me. Me and Cass did it together. Cass is my best friend for everybody out there. And then we were with our other friend from California. So it was super, super fun, but it was like half a mile of that. And that was pure exposure. Like it was so windy up there. Sun was like beating down. There was just like, it just felt like you looked either way and the mountain just like ended. It was like you and the cables, and all you're thinking is just like, get to the top, get to the top, get to the top.
God.
And then coming down, you kind of just have to like, like kind of self lower a little bit. I don't know.
That sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, it was super fun. So I have done that. Sorry, that's not climbing.
No,
I don't know. It sounds like you're climbing, just a different type of it.
In the realm.
Yeah, if I had my harness on.
There you go.
Carabiners to lock into the cables. Maybe it'd be climbing. But yeah.
Kendal, go ahead.
No.
Kendal, you want to talk about trad climbing?
Sure.
Oh.
So trad climbing, it's similar to lead climbing, but you're actually putting gear into the rock. So like such as cracks and stuff like that. So with that being said, like lead climbing, you climb up and then you take your piece of gear out, whether that's a cam, a nut,
call them hexes or something.
Hexes, yep. Stuff like that to put in the crack. Then you go up and do that.
And these pieces of gear can be up to like 5 inches. So like something so small, like quarter inch. Like you don't want to trust it, but you trust it.
So like essentially compared to lead climbing, you're making your own, what'd you call it? Your own
point of protection.
Point of protections. So like lead climbing, it's already like established routes. You go up, you latch into what's already there. This, you're creating your own as you go along, right?
Yeah.
What about when you guys climb where you use your freaking hand and you like stick it in a crack and like, because I remember you used to do that and you guys would come to school or whatever and your hands are all bloodied. I'm like, Jesus, did you get in a fight? You're like, no, man, we did such climbing. I'm like, that sounds awful.
Yeah. So you put your hands straight in, like flat, and then you roll your thumb in and kind of like crunch your fingers together. And that's kind of like your
balls up a little bit.
Yeah. And that's, you just do like that. And you go up with your crack or the crack like that. Then you put your toes in the crack
and all your body weight is basically getting put onto your hands.
Your hands and feet. Yeah.
Oof. God, dude.
It doesn't feel good at the very end, but it's worth it. I'm not a fan of crack climbing.
Yeah. I've seen other pictures of people who have done, like, I feel like you guys have shown me pictures before. You're like, yeah, this is how gnarly it can get. And I mean, you've shown me guys with their hands absolutely shredded. And I'm like, what is so fun of doing something like that? That
your hands will get rough enough where it doesn't.
Oh, man.
I've only crack climbed one time, and it was on trad. And I think that was probably my least favorite thing I've ever done. It was in
where was this at?
What?
Where was this at?
I was in Vitavue in Wyoming. It's like very, very close to the border of Colorado and Wyoming, right outside Laramie. But the rock just is like a cheese grater. Like it's not. It's not granite. What?
It's probably all granite.
It's like it's rougher than granite. I don't even know. Like I'd have to look it up. Because granite's basically what Colorado is, right?
Yeah. I hate granite.
It's like worse. Like you just even like bumping into like a rock one time just like sliced my arm open. Like I was just walking like brush next and I was like, hello? What? Hate this rock. But yeah, like my entire like back of my hand was awful. And then like but half of the crack was also like was big enough to do kind of like an arm jam.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Even like my whole like forearms, my elbows, it was bad. I'd also like to just put out there, I'm not a good climber. Like I by no means like put that label on me. So
what are you climbing nowadays, Hallie?
The hardest thing I've done recently was like a 5'10" plus.
Yeah, that's pretty good, I think.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it was indoor and I was on top rope.
Yeah.
I attempted a 5'11" and I plummeted.
Okay, real quick.
5'6", 5'7", so.
Okay, but like for clarification for anybody listening, what are these numbers you're saying? Because I'm lost all of a sudden.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Who thinks they can explain it better? So I think it starts out at 5. So 5'5", right? Starts 5'4".
5'5".
5'5".
5'5".
So 5'5" is super easy. Anybody could probably do it. It's like climbing a ladder, what I would say.
That's what I say. Yeah.
So, and then it goes from like 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", but then there's also like 5'10", 5'10", 5'10", 5'10", goes all the way up to like 5'15", like 5, I don't know, 5'15", 5 up there. But that's like
5'15".
You're like talking about something. You're pretty much climbing.
Like only a few people in the world can do.
Yeah.
So that's your scale of like difficulty of a rock wall, essentially.
Yeah.
Like I just looked up what the 5 means because we're saying in all these ratings it's like 5.5.
Yeah.
So there are different route classifications. Class 1 is walking on an established flat, easy trail. So like walking in Kansas is like 1. 2, high steep incline, scrambling, maybe using your hands. Class 3, climbing a steep hillside, moderate exposure. A rope may be carried but not used, and hands are used in climbing. A short fall could be possible. So I'd say like, mountaineering on like a hike or something, on like a 14. Class 4 it is steeper yet exposed, and most people use a rope due to potential of a long fall. And then class 5, climbing is technical, and belayed roping with protection is required. It's not. So it's like the 5 means like you absolutely need a rope. Like even though there's like 5, it's like climbing a ladder, you still technically need a rope. So yeah.
So in a way, it's like a scale system out of 5, and then to further it a bit, you get to 5, and now you do a 5-point something system to establish those are rock climbing. Okay, that's interesting how they do that. I like that.
Yeah.
So Hallie, you said 5'10" ish.
Mm-hmm.
Kendall, what was your hardest route?
Oh, at the time, my hardest route I probably got was probably like a 5'11".
That's good.
B.
Yeah.
But there's one in Horseshoe Canyon at Arkansas.
Yeah.
Huh?
Go ahead. You pretty much got it. You should have gotten it, but go ahead.
I know. There's a route at Horseshoe Canyon Ranch that has an overhang. It's called Love Slave. And there's like a 512B at the time. And you do this whole overhang, and then there's maybe 5 foot or so of just front
vertical
climbing, and then you're to the top. Well, I was climbing it during a thunderstorm, pouring rain, and so I make it past the overhang, and like get to the flat face part, and my hand slipped due to the water, and I fell.
Oh man!
If it was dry, he would totally got it.
Yeah,
that sucks.
So
I can't believe you're climbing in a thunderstorm, dude.
But it was overhang.
Dude.
What'd
you say, Kendall?
We're hardcore.
Damn
you
right.
gotta go back. You gotta redeem yourself, man. Go on a fun day.
I always think about that, and I was like, I just want to go back and see if I can try it.
That's just like hunting or fishing. That's the fish that got away or the deer that you missed on kind of thing. It's that one little bit that if you were 1 inch more, you had it kind of thing, right?
Except like fish and animals run away. You just like walk to the rock wall and you're like, oh, there you are, you stupid. Like you're gonna beat me again. I forgot to mention Horseshoe Canyon Ranch. Yes, this is in Arkansas. It's a big climbing location, probably one of the biggest ones in Arkansas, I'd say. And I entered into a climbing competition in Horseshoe Canyon Ranch my senior year. I say competition lightly. I think it's more of an event. Like, yes, it is a competition because if you do better, you get prizes, but it's not necessarily that. It's called 24 Hours of Horseshoe Hell. So it's basically this event where you climb as much as you possibly can in 24 hours, and you don't sleep and you don't eat. Well, you kind of
God,
like climb, how like wreck your body.
Yeah,
and you can only get in by a lottery system. So one of my buddies like sent this to me and all my friends and was like, everyone partner up and throw your name in. Like we're getting this. And I think maybe like 8 of my friends entered, and then me and my friend Farron were the only ones that got it, and we were like, this is insane. And so like one of the couples that entered, they're married. They're like some of the best climbers I know. Like they are incredible. Like easily could scoot up like a 5'11". Like I think the hardest they've climbed is like 5'13". They're insane.
Yeah.
And they didn't get in, and then like me and Farron are like, we can maybe do a 5'9". Like we're in. But the minimum age is 21. And so we got there and we felt like babies. Like there were like 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, like from everywhere. Like so many people came in for this event. It was packed. It's weird talking about like big events like this because it absolutely did not happen.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, they have like a shotgun tip off, and then they're like, everyone go, and everyone just like scatters throughout the whole ranch and just like climb for hours. And the day before the climbing competition, I like procrastinated a paper so long and was up till 5 a.m. Writing it. And then at 7 a.m. we like jumped in the car and went to the climbing competition. So I was already running on like 2-3 hours of sleep. And then we get there, and I think like halfway through I was like, Farron, like I have to sleep just for 2 hours. Like I'm dying. And so I like went, you know, I think it was September, so it's still like super, super muggy in Arkansas. Like it's borderline southern, so it's like muggy, hot. We set up our tent in like this big open field, so the sun was just like beating down on me. I woke up in like a pool of sweat. Like my entire sleeping pad was just like a whole different shade of orange.
Oh.
This is all I get. Like I can't. I was like, come on, you're at Horseshoe Hell. Like get it together. But our game plan, like you have to basically like in this climbing competition, you get points by climbing a route clean. So you can't fall or anything. So our game plan, and most of everyone's game plan, is just to like climb the easiest things you can find. So we had like an app that told us which like where the ratings and stuff were. And so we were climbing like 5.5s, 5.6s. I think we did a couple 5.7s, but we were like doing 5.5s. There came a point where both me and Farron, like I was on a 5.5. It was so easy. So like easy money, not tall. I think maybe 30 feet. Like it was not hard. And I like went to grab this hole that was like a jug, which is basically just like a really easy thing to grab onto. And my hand like just stopped. It just like did not hold on to it, and I fell. Like, and then I was just hanging there. Friends like, did you just fall? And I was like, my arms are so tight and just like non-existent. Like I'm basically
you got a good old pump going on.
Oh, it was awful. It was probably the worst pump I've ever had. Yeah. On a 5.5. But that was really sick. I think our goal was 24 climbs in 24 hours, which is like absolutely nothing. There's the Mile High Club, which is people who climb a mile throughout the whole thing. Yeah. And then there was like another like goal was to get 100 climbs, and I think we got 20 in 24 hours. We were like so dead after it. We were like, we can't. It burnt me out of climbing for quite a while after that. I didn't climb for about 3 months, I think, after.
What I think is really cool, like I don't know if you experience this too, but like the climbing community, like everybody is friends. Like you might not know the person, but like they could be like just chit-chatting you like they knew you forever kind of thing. Like they're super welcoming, and all climbers they're just really chill and cool.
Yeah, it's so fun. I think that's one of the first things I noticed too, is like people are so willing to help out new climbers and be very kind. Like I've run into the really like pretentious climbers and like the ones who are like, you do 5.10s, that's it. And I'm like, come on. Like, there's always those people, but for the most part, yeah, the climbing community is fantastic. And I think I've got like countless stories of just like great conversations with people at like gyms or outdoor climbing locations, or like just helping people out and stuff. At Horseshoe Hell, there was like this old Turkish couple that was like handing out Turkish coffee they made on their like jet boil.
That's great.
At like 4 a.m. They're like, I want some Turkish coffee, and we were like, us, please. I fell on a 5.5. Please help me.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you mentioned the rock climbing thing. I feel like every encounter I've had with any kind of air quote extreme sport community, I feel like a lot of the extreme sport communities are some of the most friendly. And I maybe that's just like to be in that community in the first place, and the kind of crap you're doing, it's almost like a respect thing of like, oh, you're willing to do this in the first place. We are already friends.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've noticed that with a lot of different communities around that kind of atmosphere, I guess. So.
And like being kids, like when Kendall and I were climbing, like our older brother, like all his friends, like they were so welcoming to like Kendall and I, like always help us out with anything. And like sometimes like, oh, you like gave us crap because sometimes we would out climb them and some stuff. I know at the Kansas Club, there'd be some stuff like, oh, you guys are so good, but like we're just kids. And I remember one time at the Kansas Cliff Club, so like our older brother Shane, he got to like set routes every now and then. And he gave me an opportunity to set my own route. And I did not know what I was doing. I was like, all right, I'll just throw some holes up here.
Was that my route too? Or was that a different one?
I think that was a different one. It might have been the same one. I don't remember. It was in that one, the first room right by the bouldering room. Remember?
Okay, I know. Yeah, Crazy Train.
Crazy Train. That's right. Did you help me with that one?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay, then we just started throwing holds up there, and we didn't expect anything of it. Like we didn't know how hard it would be or anything. We were just having fun, but everybody loved it, and it's just like it was so cool because like
it was there forever.
Yeah, and everybody you could watch people climbing it. Like, oh, I set that up. Like it was just really neat. But
that's so. I have no context for the world of setting. I have not a clue.
Yeah, you have to like. I don't know how to do it, but like when people are like, you just gotta picture them doing all the moves and all that. But
that's so weird. Every time I walk into a gym and there are the setters doing their thing, I just kind of like look at them like, wow, setters. Whoa, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, see, you mentioned the Kansas Cliff Club again, and when it comes to my rock climbing experience, it's Kansas Cliff Club, and then when me and Kendall did our rock climbing class at Butler Community College, that's really my only two experiences with rock climbing.
Yeah. And did you get to climb outside on the Kansas Cliff Club?
I could have, but I said, hell no, dude. I remember the one time I was out there, and I mean, like you said, everybody was so welcoming, dude. Every time I went there, everybody would just be so talkative. They'd be like, "Oh, nice to meet you," blah blah blah. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I don't belong here at all." And they're like, "Oh man, you great," like so friendly. But yeah, there was one time you and Kendall got hooked up to do the big wall, like the 80-footer or whatever it was, like that went up the entire silo. And you guys kind of got started, and I was talking to somebody. And then I know your dad was there. And so I think it was a few of us were talking. And I kid you not, it was like 2 seconds later, I look up and you sons of bitches are already up there. I'm like, no way. You did it in like 10 minutes maybe. I'm like, there's no way you guys just did that. Everybody else took twice as long at a minimum. And you guys just Spider-Man'd up that wall. So I remember, that was a pretty cool place though. And so but I'm not a rock climber, dude. I'm just so damn uncomfortable. Like I get so nervous. Like my hands are clammy just thinking about it.
That's why you have chalk. That's why you have chalk. Suck it up, chalk up, and get on the wall.
Dude, I'm bad at it. Like you guys are mentioning the routes and how hard they are. I'm definitely a 5'5" guy, 5'6" on a good day. Yeah. And then when me and Kendall did our rock climbing class, like the first couple of weeks, dude, just getting up any of the walls, because they had 2 rock climbing routes. Then they had that other wall that was like all sorts of crap that they wired up, and you just, crawl over it. That was pretty cool. And then they had a wire ropes course or whatever, which was pretty cool too. First couple weeks, dude. Line. What's up?
Zip line too.
Yeah, zip line. And then we took the zip. They only did the zip line like once though. Other than that, we were always wow, I can't remember how we got down. Rappelling. Yeah, thank you. So they had the rappelling wall too, but I was in there like the first couple weeks, dude. I couldn't hardly do the rock wall or like any of the routes. I just couldn't do it. Like it freaked me out, and like my arms started giving out. But by the end, I was actually pretty comfortable with it until we had to do our stupid final, which was there was a big swing, which was kind of like neat, but I really didn't like it because of just the drop. We had the teams portion, which everybody had to get up over that like 8-foot wall. But then there was that stupid freaking the what?
The telephone pole?
Yeah, the freaking telephone pole. It was like 20 feet, and you had a platform that was maybe a foot wide. Like, a foot wide and maybe 6 inches long. And 2 people had to crawl up there and then jump off and catch this damn bar. And at this point in the class, I was pretty comfortable with all the climbing stuff. Like I was like, dude, I'm getting pretty good at this. And so our final came up. We're watching other people doing it. Me and Kendall are just talking back and forth, like, all right, man, we're gonna like we were game planning. And then so Kendall goes up this stupid pole and he's like trying to stand up, and I just hear woo. And the second I heard Kendall like get like that nerve in his voice, I lost it, dude. I was like, no, I'm not going up this stupid thing now. Like I freaked out. Like I started panicking. I started sweating left and right. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so screwed. Because it took Kendall forever just to stand up. And I was like, if it's taking him that long and he's that freaked out, I'm done for, man. But then I freaking went up, and we had the video somewhere. I think it's still on my YouTube page. So I'll have to go get that video or get a clip of it and share it. But you hear me like trying to get up, and I'm trying to like crawl up Kendall's leg. And he's like, dude, you're pulling me off, man. He's like, just stand up. I was like, dude, I can't. Oh God. And then, yeah, we eventually got it, but there's nothing to hold on to. So except each other. So we were like, at one point we were on a full on hug of each other. And we had to like, let go and jump out. What'd you say?
Said bromance.
Dude, it was awful. Well, you know what sucked too is half the class was like people who were a lot smaller than us. We were 2 6-foot dudes with a decent amount of body mass trying to stand on this platform. All the smaller people would just zip right up there. They were able to stand up there like it was nothing. You put 2 big 6-foot boys like up on this little platform. No, sir. So I was determined that we had to get it too, because if you fell off, you had to do it again. I was like, I'm not doing this again. It's amazing I did this the first time. So
that's a good professor. That's a really good professor.
Yeah, man. It was a cool class, but that final, easily one of the hardest finals of my life, man. Like truly one of the hardest, like mentally, I've ever done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, climbing, like, I think climbing is mostly a mental game for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad you bring this up because, like, if I could tell everybody one thing, it's just like, don't count yourself out as like not being a climber. Like everybody starts out not knowing what they're doing, and everyone starts out on the 5.5s, the 5.7s, like 5.6s, whatever. Like it doesn't matter if you're good or not. It's just like you're getting on the wall, you're trying it out. And like I think that's why it's also really important to keep the climbing community as like welcoming and open as it is, because like you need people around you who are going to be okay watching you like do bad. I think like that's always my biggest issue, especially when I was first starting out, is like, oh my gosh, like I can't fall. They're going to think I'm really bad at this. They're going to think I'm weak. I think I'm weak. I have to stay on the wall. Like it was so easy for me to get in my head while climbing, and still is. Like, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'm up there and I'm like, I am making a fool of myself. But like, that's the whole point of it is like, we're not naturally supposed to climb rocks. Like we are not made for it. So it's like, the whole thing is foolish in general. So like, why not just like own it and try it out and just like do your best. And then like when you see people struggling or you see people kind of getting down themselves, like be that person that's like, that makes them think, oh, the climbing community is so open, so nice and so welcoming because this person like encouraged me when I was obviously hating being here and obviously didn't know what I was doing. Like that's like what gets me so stoked on it, is like just meeting people and having those interactions and then like giving those good interactions as well.
That's a great way of putting it. Like Kendal and Keaton were the ones introducing me to that. And I remember like, other than like the very, we're all pretty good buddies, like they'll poke fun at me a little bit. For the most part, dude, if I was up on a wall and I knew, I was just like, I can't do this. They were never like, oh, come on, you big old sissy. It was more of like, dude, if you can't do it, like, no worries, like, yeah, that's a great way of putting it. So,
yeah.
There is like nothing better than getting to the top of your climb that you've been struggling with, and you think that like no one else has like paid attention. You just like hear your partner who's belaying you, or like your friends who came with you like cheering when you like hit the top, and like when you're like, I'm done, take, get me down, and everyone's like, yeah, like there's like no better feeling than that. So yeah, I think it's really important to be like a good community for the people that you're with when you're there.
Yeah,
Kendall and cool. Our older brother, like he'd always say, if you get this route done, and it's pretty tough. I remember the hardest route I did was Crimp Scampy, which is in Arkansas.
I know Crimp Scampy.
Horseshoe Canyon Ranch. And he said, you get this done clean, I'll get you a shake. And the shakes or some town in Arkansas, they're the best shakes out there. We say, if you get this clean, I'll get you a shake. So like that determination right there is like made me get it done. But it was always cool because he'd always do these little like, if you get this, I'll get you an ice cream cone. But he'd always push us, which was awesome. But
yeah. Well, that I feel like that's a good segue. So you're kind of mentioning like great memories. So what would you say is probably all your guys' best memory in rock climbing, or at least a couple? Like you don't have to narrow it down, or you can give one of them. It doesn't have to be your all-time favorite, but what is like a high point for you?
I'll go first. So I got a couple. One was completing a route on an area called Davis Face, and that's in Colorado. And it's like
Hallie's all
I can't believe you've done Davis.
It's a multi-pitch route, and I think it's like 7-8 pitches maybe. So
okay, clarify what a pitch is real quick.
So a pitch is like one segment, so that's like one rope's length.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
And then you stop there. Then you'll belay. So like the very top, like once the first guy goes up, that guy will belay the guy that's on the bottom now, and he'll climb up. Now there's two guys at the top of that first segment, and then you repeat.
Oh wow.
So you do that that was like 8 times or so for that route. And so that's the biggest route I've ever climbed. So that's one of the coolest memories I've had with such an accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
And then another.
So we've got some really cool pictures at the top of Davis Face. If you want, we could share that with you, Austin.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And then another pretty sweet memory is deep water soloing at I think it's Taylor's Lake in Texas. And so I think that route was 60 plus foot. I think 60 foot
above the water. So explain what deep water soloing
Deep water soloing is. You're climbing above water and you have no rope, no protection. It's just you and the wall. And so if you fall in the water.
Oh my God, nope.
And so doing that 60-foot route, that's pretty crazy.
Scary as hell.
I did not fall, didn't want to fall.
So once you complete the route, do you like climb over a rock face, or do you crawl back down or jump off?
That's like there's like a parking area over there, I think. Or no?
I don't remember. I thought we were down in the water, then we climbed up from there. So you got to be in the water, and then you swim to the spot and climb up.
Gotcha. Golly, dude.
I've never done a multi-pitch or done deep water soloing, so you guys got a lot of experience. That is so cool.
It's fun, especially multi-pitch stuff. That's exposure.
Yeah.
That's the definition of exposure.
Austin, you think the telephone pole is exposure? Get on his face.
No, ma'am. The telephone pole was good enough for me to be like, this is not my thing. Mm-mm.
Still,
Hallie, favorite?
I don't know. I've been like running through. I think Horseshoe Hell was honestly like a big thing. That was just like so much more mentally tough than I had expected to be. And me and my friend Farron, who's with me, like she was my climbing partner for that. We've been like best friends for most of college. And a lot of like stuff just like between us, like our friendship came out, like not in a bad way, but just like being in that context, in that environment, like we were under a lot of stress. Like I had slept for hours. We were outside. We were climbing with headlamps on. Like it was cold. It was muggy. It was so muggy. Even at night, which was stupid. There were like people everywhere. Like people are competitive. So you're like having to jump on climbs in front of other people. And it's like, it was just like a lot. And so a lot of really good things came out of that. Just like, just how me and her like communicated as friends and like issues that have been building up, little things, but it was like a really cool time. And her boyfriend was with us too, and he's also one of my closest friends, so he was helping us like mediate like these issues that came up. Gosh, I hope she listens to this. She's currently in Scotland. Wow. So that was really, really, really cool, and probably one of my favorite memories from college. And so I'd say that was a big thing. And then also just like my junior year of college, me and all my friends like got, like I said, we all got memberships to that climbing gym, and we would go like 2-3 times a week, just like, hey, like we're going climbing, who's coming with us? And so it was just like a really fun thing that me and my friends got to do, and we'd always go to Chick-fil-A after, because the town our college was in didn't have Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A is right next to the climbing gym. So it was very exciting. It was like, we climb, we get Chick-fil-A, we go home and study. So that was really, really fun, just kind of like as a friend group. And that's like where I learned how to lead climb, and made friends with like a bunch of the people who went to that gym and worked there. And so it became like such a centralized like activity for my friends and I. And then it was like a home kind of thing. Like having a home gym was really fun. So I'd say those are kind of my two things.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That horseshoe hell thing is, good Lord, that's scary. I'm not a runner or a climber, but I would do a marathon any day of the week before I'd attempt something like that.
We got a lot of free beer.
Never mind. I'm doing that now.
Beer was really bad. It was awful. It was warm and like a very deep, but it was fun. And we got donuts.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, Keaton, what about you, buddy?
So some of my favorite memories, probably just in Colorado at Buena Vista, when all the family is together and like the nieces and nephews are there, and just getting to watch the kids climb. Not so much myself, but just enjoying that with the family kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's always cool just seeing little kiddos, having fun up the wall and whatnot. And you belaying them and taking pictures and stuff like that. Yeah. Another thing, I guess it's a life lesson, I guess. So my older brother Shane, he always give us a hard time about like lead climbing. I never wanted to, but he'd always I always give him a hard time because he pressured us. But I don't think he did so much pressure. But he always make us do it. But I don't know. If I never gave it a shot, then I would have never done some cool routes that I've never done before. But I don't know. He'd always push us in that aspect. So I always really enjoyed the getting pushed out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
That's the best part of climbing, is getting pushed out of your comfort zone, I guess.
Yeah, overcoming those challenges both mentally and physically, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna have Kendall share a story. You're gonna love this.
I'm not talking about that.
Well, now I gotta know, dude. What?
Let's see what happened at Horseshoe Canyon. Horseshoe Canyon ran.
I got some poison ivy where you don't want poison ivy at.
No. Dude, how?
Going to the bathroom, dude.
Oh my God, man.
That was so funny.
Ruthless. We got
you were up rock, were you rock climbing and you had to go to the bathroom?
No, this was like we're at the climbing area. I wasn't on a wall or anything. This was
okay.
He must have had it on his hands, the oil from the poison ivy. Went to the bathroom. And then the next day.
And this was the start of the trip too. And so the whole trip I was miserable. No. When I got home, I had to get steroid shots.
Wow, dude.
He couldn't even walk.
Oh,
it was bad.
Did you guys get any ticks while you were there?
Oh my gosh, the ticks were bad.
Ticks are so bad.
Yeah. We got Lyme disease galore in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yeah. My buddy, have you guys been to the Buffalo?
Uh-uh.
So the Buffalo River it runs throughout Arkansas. It's one of kind of the biggest out besides Horseshoe Canyon Ranch. The Buffalo is a very big outdoor place that people like to go. People will do canoe trips, backpacking trips, climbing trips, whatever. My buddy and his friend backpacked the whole thing. I think it's somewhere around 200 miles. And the first night, they had to sit in their tent and like pull all the ticks off of each other. And I think he counted like over 300 on it.
I believe it.
Jeez, man.
That's crazy.
He was like, me and my friend, we got really comfortable with each other because we had to check everywhere.
That's the worst part about a tick, man, is once you pull off that first one, you just feel your body crawling. Whether there's actually any on you, it's just now you have that in your brain and it's game over. You're just like, oh my God, they're everywhere.
Knowing that their heads have like burrowed into my skin makes me want to decease. It's the worst.
Oh man, I'm gonna love like we'll know if certain people make it through this podcast because we're gonna get comments of like, oh my God, ticks. Oh, Kendall, how? Oh, you know, that'll be our tester as we know how far people made it just because they will start commenting on this part.
I thought we were gonna get like 100,000 views right there.
Yeah. Talked about Lyme disease. Where are the views?
And Kendall's unfortunate poison ivy adventure. Oh man.
That's very
well, I think we're running close on time, but I wanted to ask one more thing. And a big part of this question comes obviously from something you guys keep mentioning, and I guess a big reason our group is what it is because it isn't about like, oh, look at these epic outdoor adventures we do, but like the experiences we get to share with people and stuff like that. But for people who might be interested in getting into this and joining this kind of community, what is some of your biggest pieces of advice as to how to become a rock climber, how to get within the community as a whole, like, you know, stuff like that?
You know, in Wichita, Kansas, there's a place called Bliss Climbing, and that's one great way to start. It is a membership kind of thing, but you know, they're always willing to help people. But even if, like, I guess how to get started is, you know, ask somebody that's been, and they're probably more than happy to, you know, take you or tell you how to get involved. So
even the YMCA.
Yeah.
Talk to those guys. I mean, you can climb there. You don't even have to have equipment. You can borrow that. And then if you decide this is the hobby you want to do, you can start investing in the gear you need, and you can start going on places on your own with your buddies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, luckily, I think climbing's becoming more mainstream. Shout out to Free Solo for that. Like, it's kind of more commonly known and explored. So I'm happy that like it's not becoming kind of like I don't know anyone who climbs and I want to try. Like, usually you can find someone who's climbed. So yeah, I'd say if you know somebody, like, just ask them about it. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to go to a climbing gym by yourself. I think that is huge because I've been so scared to go by myself. And like, although you can't like you won't be belayed by someone if you don't like have a friend there. Like, oftentimes people will be really willing to like, hey, do you need a belay? Or like, my name's this. Do you want to belay? Like, I'll help you out. Or like, you can always boulder in a gym. I think bouldering is really fun. I think that's a great way to get started too. Just kind of getting familiar with what it's like to have all of your body weight on your arms. Even though it's mostly your legs, don't be fooled. You mostly use your legs. You're not just hanging by your arms the whole time. But yeah, I think bouldering is a great way to just kind of get familiar, and it's usually a lot harder to like do a bouldering route than a climbing route because it's like it's literally like you're problem solving with your body to get to the top of the rock. Yeah, climbing gyms are great to just like ask questions. It is expensive. I will say it's kind of an expensive hobby to get into, whether you decide to join a gym with a membership or buy all the gear to go outside. So I have to remind myself that it's not a cheap thing and I can't blow all my money on it. But yeah, I'd say that's kind of just don't be afraid and ask questions and just try. Just go.
It's a great way to get out of your comfort zone, and it's always good to get out of your comfort zone.
And I can vouch for that BS, man.
Fun exercise too.
That is, yeah. And Hallie, real quick, you did mention the Free Solo. That is a film I really want to watch, but it's a documentary, correct, of a guy climbing
His name's Alex Honnold. He is the first person who free climbed El Cap, so that big mountain we were talking about. And
that means he didn't use any protection.
Yeah, he didn't use any
gear
or anything. It's so crazy because like his personality plays a lot into why he could do what he could do. And like some of his best friends were helping him make this film. And so they have a few conversations in the documentary talking about like on this section of the climb, it's really hard. I don't know if I'll make it. How do we want to film this? Like, do we want a person up there, or do we want a drone, or like, you know, just kind of like conversations. It's like, this is very morbid and happening. So yeah, freestyle is really good. Dawnwall is really good. Awesome. Yeah, Dawnwall. It's also El Cap, right? Or is it Half Dome?
I can't remember.
It's one of the two, but they climb with ropes, so not as cool.
And everybody should look up Dan Osman. Have you heard of him? So he actually passed away, but he died from sport rappelling, I believe it was. But that's when you like have a bunch of rope and you jump off a cliff, and it's like you're just taking a big whipper, but
it's like hundreds and hundreds
of But yeah, but he was a badass climber. He's got some cool videos out there.
Well, from the photography, filmmaking side for me, if people are interested, they need to look up, what's his name? I believe Jimmy Chin is like a massive guy in the photography community when it comes to like adventure stuff. But he does, I would probably say the majority of like those amazing epic shots you see of a rock climber out there doing something. And those pictures are like, dude, how did somebody take that picture? There's a good chance he's done the majority of those. He's the guy that will crawl up, like similar to how I'll go out fishing and hunting with my camera with you guys, and like I'll take it into crazy environments. This guy climbs up just like you guys will, but then he has a big ass camera and he's like snapping pictures of somebody else nearby or whatever. And so yeah,
he did.
What's up?
He did free solo, I think.
Yeah, I think like he directed it, didn't he? Directed and shot it. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, so I really want to see that. I've seen I've seen clips from it, and just the cinematography alone, I'm like, wow, dude, I need to watch that. But
yeah, there's another one I watched a while ago. It's called Maru. It came out like way early, I think probably like 5 years ago. But it's also really good. It's three guys. I think Jimmy's one of them. They're just trying to climb to the top of this mountain called Mount Maru. I have no idea where it's located, but it's really good. It's got some plot twists. I'll tell you that much. I didn't think they'd make it. Maybe they did make it. I don't want to give anything away.
Ooh, she's spicing it up a little bit there. All right. Well, before we sign off, guys, does anybody else have anything they'd like to share, tell folks, or maybe a little piece of advice here and there?
I'd like to say thank you for having me again. This has been really fun. I love coming on, so it's been an honor and a blessing. And if anyone wants to climb, catch me at Bliss.
And follow me on Instagram, McGuire22.
Nah, I'm good.
Oh, dang. But yes, Hallie, thank you for joining us, and we'd love to have you again. Actually, like I had mentioned previously, I will hopefully try to get you back on after your summer in Alaska.
That'd be sick.
So, I mean, heck, if you get to do some climbing out there, then we'll get these guys back on so you can brag to their faces. So
I'm hoping to do some deep sea fishing, actually.
Ooh.
Some deep sea salmon fishing.
Dude, that'd be pretty epic. But all right, guys, we'll catch you on in future episodes. So.
All right. See you, Betty. See you, Hallie. Thanks for
being here. Guys, this has been fun.